In this video, I'm going to show you how to use one-click download to download internet recipes into Living Cookbook. EverylastRecipe.com, Radium's new recipe search engine, has indexed over 2 million recipes. All of them are available for one-click download into Living Cookbook, and more are being added every day. I'll start by selecting the Internet Navigator. EverylastRecipe.com is the default homepage for Living Cookbook's embedded web browser. You can use the search box on Every Last Recipe's homepage to search for recipes, or you can use Living Cookbook's search toolbar. I'm going to use the search toolbar to find some breakfast burrito recipes. Next, I'll select Internet from the Search In list. Now I can click Find Now to start the search. The search text, breakfast burrito, was sent to Every Last Recipe, and the search results are displayed in Living Cookbook's embedded web browser. Let's take a look at the first recipe listed. There's our breakfast burrito recipe on allrecipes.com. Note that a download prompt has appeared at the top of the web page. This will occur every time you view a web page that contains a recipe that has been indexed by Every Last Recipe. Let's click on the Download button to download the recipe into Living Cookbook. Now let's take a look at the recipe. I've configured my copy of Living Cookbook to download recipes into a cookbook named Downloaded Recipes. I could just click on the Recipe Navigator and browse for the downloaded recipe, but there's an easier way to do this. Two ways, actually. The first way is to click on the View Recipe button on the download prompt. There's our downloaded recipe, complete with comments, image, servings, yield, tips, and recipe type. Basically, all of the recipe information on the source web page was included in the download. The only exception is recipe nutrition. In this case, Living Cookbook's AutoLinker linked the recipe ingredients to my ingredient database and calculated the recipe nutrition automatically. Let's go back to the Internet Navigator. I mentioned that there was a second way to view a recently downloaded recipe. The Recent Downloads item on the File menu lists the last 10 recipes that you have downloaded. The Recent Downloads menu item makes it really easy to navigate not just to the last downloaded recipe, but all of your recent downloads. I'm not going to click on that menu item since we've already seen that recipe. Instead, I'll click on the web browser's Back button to go back to our breakfast burrito search results. Let's take a look at the second recipe. Once again, the download prompt appears. This time, instead of downloading to the default location, I want to download to a specific cookbook. I want to download the recipe to my Wake Up to Breakfast cookbook. Our download is completed. Let's take a quick look at it. There's our recipe. It's right where we wanted it, in the Wake Up to Breakfast cookbook. Let's go back to the Internet Navigator again and take a look at some of the application options that control how recipes are downloaded. As with all application options, you can view the recipe download options by selecting Options from the Tools menu. But there's a quicker way. Just click on the Options toolbar button on the embedded web browser. The recipe download options let you choose where your downloaded recipes will be stored. You can choose an existing cookbook or chapter, or you can let Living Cookbook's Auto Archiver organize your recipes for you automatically. The Auto Archiver is discussed in more detail in another video. The recipe download options also let you control which recipe elements are downloaded. I'll click on the Recipe Elements Action button to show you what I mean. Here we can control which recipe elements we want to download. I think I'll turn off recipe type, source, and images. The download options also let you control how duplicate recipes are handled. You can choose to download duplicates, skip them, or quarantine them in a separate chapter. The last download option controls whether the ingredients in the downloaded recipe are linked automatically. Let's download another recipe and try out our modified download options. There's our downloaded recipe. Note that the recipe image was not downloaded. And the recipe type and source information weren't downloaded either.